It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to what I believe is a critical meeting of partners. And the aim is to strengthen the relationship through our review of current issues and refocusing of our energies to improve our operations as university and schools where necessary, as we journey together in providing quality education to South Africa's young people. I am very passionate about education, and I want to believe that you are also very passionate about education. So whenever an opportunity presents itself where we can talk about how best to do what we do, how to improve on what we do, it's an opportunity that I always grab with both hands. Now, as school and circuit and district leadership, your primary responsibility is to ensure that schools produce quality results regardless of the grades taught. It is unfortunate that the department tends to focus more on grade 12 than on grade 2 and grade 7 and grade 10. And I say it's unfortunate because I strongly believe that what we get out there is what we have put in over the 12 years. So grade 1 is just as important as grade 9, as grade 12. And if your school is a foundation phase school, you are just as important as a high school principal. Because all these phases are the build-up to the final product. But in order for you to be able to produce good results, you need appropriately qualified teachers who are competent in the subjects or the learning areas that they teach, and who are also committed to teach. And our faculty responsibility is to produce qualified teachers who are competent to teach in their specialization areas. In other words, when a teacher is qualified to teach history, we don't expect them to be teaching life orientation or maths literacy, because they are not qualified to teach that. If we do that, we mess up the system. Prof Govender explained that the university has 3 core functions: teaching and learning, research and innovation, and community engagement. Similarly, our faculty is connected to schools through teacher development programs, through research activities, and community engagement activities. All these pillars are important and should inform and strengthen each other. However, I am aware that we cannot discuss everything in one day, so I want to talk briefly about teaching and learning, with emphasis on teacher development, and appraise you on the programs we offer. We have 2 undergraduate programs, the PGCE, it's called PGCE, Postgraduate Certificate in Education, but we regard it as an undergrad program, and the BEd, which is a 4-year degree. And we have about 4,300 students in the 2 programs, about 350 in the PGCE and about 4,000 in the Bachelor of Education. Now, in training these students to become teachers, we are guided by the revised policy on the minimum requirements for teacher education requirements. It's the 2015 version, which emphasizes that students should be assisted to integrate theoretical and practical learning. And it emphasizes 5 types of knowledges: disciplinary learning, that is the subject-specific knowledge, which is covered in their education modules as well as in the specialization modules. Pedagogical learning, where we teach them how to teach that particular specialization. Then there's practical learning, which makes us knock on your doors, that we have 4,300 students that need to go to schools and do teaching practice, where they learn from observing you and they learn from trying to do what they have observed you do and what we have taught them in the method modules. Then there's fundamental learning, where we teach them the literacies, academic literacy, computer literacy, and the second language. And the situational learning, where they learn about policies, political context, social context, which also happens mostly in schools. Now, on our own, we can offer some of these knowledges, but the real learning happens when they go to schools, when they come to you, when we release them to your schools. That's when the real learning, because we theorize, but when they come to you, then they get to practice what they have learned. We also offer postgraduate programs, and I believe many of you are a product of our postgraduate programs, where the honors, the masters, and the doctoral degrees. Now, for these degrees as well, we will not be able to graduate our students without schools, because most of them do research in schools, whether they are researching how learners are learning, how teachers are teaching, how parents are supporting learners, how SGPs are supporting schools, and all of that. So we really can't do what we're supposed to do without your support as schools. We can't manage. So I want to say, as a faculty, we realize that we cannot excel in teacher development if we are disconnected from you, the communities that we serve. Our dependence on schools for a critical component of our programs cannot be overemphasized. In the same way, though, you as schools are dependent on faculties of education to produce competent and appropriately qualified teachers if we are to offer quality education. At the end of the day, we need each other in ensuring that the country offers quality education at both school and university level. As I approach my conclusion, I want to remind you that no country can be better than the quality of its teachers. No country can be better than the quality of its teachers. And this thing worries me, because when I was a student, as a learner, we were not called learners then, but when I was a pupil, I think we were called pupils. See how we like to change names. When I was a pupil, I remember when I got to high school that, at primary school, I think there was only one teacher who had a degree. When I was a pupil, when I was school-going age. Primary school, only one teacher had a degree. The rest had their PTCs, their PTC and what? And JSTC, yes. But guys, those teachers were committed. Those teachers were committed. When I got to high school, there were more teachers with degrees. But what worries me today is that I want to be conservative and say at least 60% of the teachers have degrees. I know I'm conservative, it's more than that. At least 60% of teachers have degrees. But things are just not happening. Let us be honest. Things are just not happening. Where I stay, My children are grown up now, but where I stay, the school was just across the road. And it would bother me some days to see teachers coming to drop their kids in red t-shirts, in jeans, drop their kids at this school, and then go to Doidon and not go to work border. They drop their kids at school because teachers at this school are not going to Doidon. And then border, they go to Doidon and not to go teach. When we treat other people's children like that, we said we want to develop a strong partnership. Let us be honest with each other, guys. Yeah. When we treat other people's children like that, we might think we are doing our children a service. But along the line, this thing will haunt our children. Because the children that we are supposed to be teaching are poor children. Their parents can't afford to send them to this school where yours go to, right? But your children will not enjoy the good education that you've given them because these children will become criminals and will haunt and be a menace to your children. I want what's best for my children, but I also want what's best for yours. And for uMhlathuze, I want what's best for your children too. I can't be selfish and say because uMhlathuze can't afford to send their kids to a former model C school, then her children shouldn't be taught. That's wrong. That's wrong, colleagues. What is good for my kids is good for uMhlathuze's kids. And who knows, if uMhlathuze's kids get a good education, they could become doctors. They could become lawyers. They could actually elevate that family from the poverty abagio. uMhlathuze is cleaning my kitchen not out of choice. She didn't get the opportunities. Now why are we oppressing her children as well? Because that is what we are doing. I started by saying no country can be better than the quality of its teachers. And by quality of teachers, we've already established that it's not the education that makes a teacher a good teacher. It's the commitment, colleagues. You might not have a degree, but if your heart is in what you are doing, the difference will be visible. And it starts with you as leaders. You can't be constantly absent from your office. Every day when you say, second office every day, guys. It starts with you. If your school is going to be straight, it starts with you. You can't run a school by remote. I don't run the faculty by remote. Last year when I joined the faculty, people were working from home. I was in the office every day because I want to know what's going on. You can't run an institution by remote, colleagues. But it worries me that the more we get educated, the challenges do not reduce. Of course, government fails us. I am actually embarrassed to acknowledge that there are still schools where, the infrastructure is not there. That is embarrassing. But that doesn't stop me as a teacher from preparing and going to class and teaching those learners. it doesn't stop me from doing that. As I conclude, colleagues, I want to say everything, whether the country gets out of the mess it's in, whether our economy improves, it all depends on us creating functional schools. The biggest responsibility is on the principal's heads, because you run those institutions. If you create environments where all learners feel they are valued, they are important, their education is important, there will be very few learners who will drop out and become hooligans. There will be very few learners who will drop out. If you as a principal, you set the tone that this is what I want in my school. I want all learners here to feel important, to feel valued. I want all teachers to believe that all children can be taught. Of course, we can't all become number one and what. But even the most or the least gifted child can become something if in your school you set the tone and you create an environment that says you are important. Equally, you have to make sure that all your teachers feel you believe in them, you're supporting them in what they're trying to do. They shouldn't be afraid to come to you because whatever they say, principal, I want to try and do this for my geography class, there's no money. Principal, I want to try and do this. I want to take the children to that thing. I saw something that I think can help there's no money. You know, if you are always a stumbling block, the teachers will stop trying. So, colleagues, as I conclude, I want to say as heads of schools, and not rest on how you manage those institutions, we trust your leadership, and we are confident that you are creating environments that are conducive to teaching and learning, and also conducive to training and producing quality teachers.